Here's the shocker: women don't sleep with men for looks, money, or lines. They do it when 4 hidden switches flip. If you've ever had a date go great, the texts flow, the flirting spark, and then nothing, you know, the confusion. You bought dinner, hit the gym, told her she was beautiful, tried to be fun, tried to be nice, tried to be different. She smiled, she lingered, but when it came to real intimacy, she cooled. Maybe she kept you as a friend, maybe she disappeared. You're left asking, what do women really respond to? The answer isn't louder effort, it's smarter presence. A woman moves closer when she feels emotional safety, sees day-to-day consistency, senses unshakable composure, and runs into clear boundaries that don't bend for attention. Those 4 drivers create the tension she craves, secure enough to relax, challenged enough to want more. In this video, we'll pull back the curtain on each driver, translate the psychology into plain masculine habits, and show you how Stoic principles turn respect into desire without games. No pickup tricks, no performance. Just quiet, repeatable behaviors that make intimacy her choice, not your chase. Stay with me, because the 4th driver is the one almost every guy gets wrong, and when you master it, everything else clicks faster than you think. Stay sharp here. Let's get into it. Number 1. She feels safe with you. Here's the thing: no matter what she says she wants, a woman will never sleep with a man she doesn't feel safe with. Emotional safety is the invisible gatekeeper of intimacy. It's not about how charming you are, how good you look, or how much money you make. It's about how her body and mind respond when she's around you. If her nervous system feels calm, she relaxes. If it feels threatened even slightly, she shuts down completely. Let me give you a real example. Greg, 58, from Seattle, had been single for years after a long marriage. When he started dating again, he did what most men do. He tried too hard. He texted constantly, complimented every detail, and filled every silence with reassurance. The women he met liked him at first, but something always fizzled out. They said he was too nice, or that they didn't feel the spark. Then he met Sarah, 51, a nurse who'd been through her share of relationships. This time Greg tried something new. He stopped performing. He spoke less, listened more, and stayed calm, even when conversations got personal. At first, Sarah tested him: subtle jabs, emotional shifts, little moments meant to see if he'd lose composure. But Greg didn't. He stayed grounded. Over time, she began to relax around him. Her tone softened her. Laughter became more natural, and the tension faded. She started opening up, not because Greg tried to convince her, but because his energy made her feel safe. That's when connection deepened. See, safety doesn't come from words, it comes from consistency. It's the way you respond under pressure, the way you handle disagreement, the way you stay steady when she's emotional. Women are wired to read those cues faster than they can explain them. When they feel judged, rushed, or overpowered, their instincts close the door. But when they sense calm confidence, the door opens. Stoic philosophy explains this perfectly. Epictetus said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." When you're calm, you remind her that the storm she fears is only in her mind. Your steadiness tells her, "You're safe here." And when a woman feels emotionally safe, attraction has room to grow naturally. Now here's what's surprising. Being nice isn't the same as being safe. Niceness tries to please. Safety holds firm. Niceness bends to avoid tension. Safety embraces it calmly. The more grounded you are, the more a woman trusts that she won't be emotionally punished for being herself. And that's what unlocks her comfort, her vulnerability, and eventually her desire. Greg told me later, "Once I stopped trying to make her feel good and just stayed steady, everything changed." That's the paradox most men never see when you stop chasing safety for her and start living it yourself. She feels it without you saying a word. So if you want a woman to truly open up to you, don't perform, provide presence. Let her feel that nothing she says or does can shake your peace, because once she feels that her guard drops, and when the guard drops, connection begins. Now take this moment and anchor it. Type in the comments, "I create safety." It's simple, it's strong, and it's the foundation of every real connection. And stay here, because the next thing that attracts her isn't your calm, it's what you do with it. Something that makes her crave being around you again and again. Stay tuned. Number 2, your consistency turns her on. If safety is what makes a woman trust you, consistency is what makes her want you. You can be charming, attractive, even successful, but if your actions don't line up with your words, her desire will vanish faster than it appeared. Every woman, especially those who've lived long enough to see through games, is drawn to one thing above all else: reliability. Here's the truth: women don't crave constant excitement, they crave certainty. They want to know who they're dealing with. In a world full of men who promise more than they deliver, the man who shows up the same way every time stands out like light in the dark. That's what builds tension. That's what turns her on. Consistency isn't about being predictable. It's about being trustworthy. She doesn't have to guess what version of you she'll get today. You don't vanish for days and then text her out of nowhere. You don't shift your mood based on whether she compliments you. You're steady even when she isn't. That steadiness creates emotional rhythm, and women respond to rhythm more than anything else. In Stoic philosophy, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." That's consistency in its purest form, integrity between thought, word, and action. When you live like that, you give off a rare kind of confidence, not through talk, but through presence. It tells her, "This is who I am, and I don't break character for approval." That's incredibly attractive. Think about how most men behave. They start strong text, often make time show effort, but as soon as they feel secure, they get lazy. The energy fades, the communication slows, and suddenly the woman feels uncertainty again. Her respect begins to fade because inconsistency reads as weakness. It says, "He can't sustain what he starts." And the truth is, respect dies the moment effort becomes irregular. Consistency, on the other hand, builds tension in silence. When you say you'll call, you do. When you say you'll meet, you show up. When you have an off day, you don't project it onto her. You keep your composure. It's not the grand gestures that make her desire you. It's the small, consistent ones that prove she can rely on you emotionally. That reliability is the foundation of attraction. And here's something subtle: consistency doesn't just build desire, it builds anticipation. When she knows you'll show up as the same grounded man, she can relax into her feminine energy. She doesn't need to chase or guess. Her body starts associating you with stability, and that stability feels safe enough to invite closeness. Desire is born in that safety. Stoicism teaches that repetition builds strength. You don't become disciplined by doing something once, you become disciplined by doing it daily. The same principle applies here. Consistency isn't glamorous, but it's magnetic. It's the quiet power that tells her you're not chasing validation, you're living by standard. Remember this: women test consistency because inconsistency has burned them before. Every time you stay true to your word, you pass a test she may not even know she's giving. And every time you do, her admiration grows. So stop trying to impress with intensity. Impress with stability. The fire that lasts the longest is the one that burns steady. Now lock this lesson in. Drop a comment that says, "I stay consistent," because that's what separates temporary attraction from lasting desire. And don't move. What comes next will reveal the one trait that amplifies all of this. It's the skill that keeps her respect, even when emotions rise. Stay with me. Number 3, your composure makes her crave you. Every woman, whether she admits it or not, is constantly watching how a man handles pressure. She doesn't do it consciously, it's instinct. The way you react when things don't go your way tells her more than any date, any compliment, or any promise ever could. She might be drawn to your looks or your charm at first, but if you lose control when life tests you, the attraction fades. On the other hand, if you remain composed, her respect deepens, and respect always turns into craving. Let's talk about how this looks in real life. There's Daniel, 55, a real estate agent from Atlanta. A few years ago, he started dating Lisa, 52, a corporate consultant. Both were confident, successful, and used to getting their way. But their first real test came fast. One night at dinner, Lisa brought up a misunderstanding, something small but sharp enough to trigger pride. Most men in Daniel's position would have defended themselves immediately, raising their voice or shutting down. But he didn't. He paused, took a sip of water and said calmly, "You're right, I could have handled that better." That one sentence changed everything. Lisa told him later that she had never met a man who didn't try to win an argument. His calm disarmed her. What she felt wasn't submission, it was attraction. In that moment, Daniel proved that he wasn't ruled by emotion. His composure showed maturity, and that steadiness made her feel safe and excited at the same time. See, composure isn't the absence of feeling, it's mastery over it. Stoic men don't deny emotion, they control its expression. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." When you live that truth, you stop letting her moods, your frustrations, or the chaos of the world dictate your reactions. That self-control becomes your most powerful form of attraction. Women are emotional creatures by nature, but they crave balance. They want to feel passion, yes, but they also want to feel anchored. Your calm presence gives them that grounding. It's what allows their emotions to rise without fear of judgment or explosion. When you can stay steady in her storm, she'll always come back to you. Because composure isn't just attractive, it's addictive. Let's be real, composure is rare today. Most men react instead of respond. They argue when criticized, withdraw when challenged, or get defensive when misunderstood. But when you stay centered, you stand out instantly. You become the man she can trust in chaos, the one she can lean on when everything else feels unstable. That's the kind of energy that drives her wild without you saying a word. Daniel later said, "The more I stayed calm, the more she opened up." And that's exactly what happens. When you're unshakable, she doesn't have to protect herself. She can soften, trust, and connect. Your composure becomes a signal that says, "You're safe, and I'm in control of myself." And that signal is what ignites genuine desire. So remember this, she's not testing your anger, she's testing your peace. Every challenge, every argument, every emotional moment is an invitation to prove that you can lead, not react. The man who masters his emotions doesn't lose power, he becomes magnetic. Now make this lesson stick. Go to the comments and type, "I stay composed." Because calm is the loudest statement a man can make. And stay right here, because what's coming next is the most paradoxical truth of all. It's the one thing that builds desire by holding it back. Don't miss it. Number 4. Your boundaries create desire. Here's a truth. Most men never learn the moment you stop setting boundaries. Attraction dies. You can be kind, generous, even deeply connected. But if she senses that your self-respect is negotiable, desire vanishes. Women don't fall for men who say yes to everything. They fall for men who have the strength to say no when it matters. Boundaries are the lines that define your worth. They tell her who you are, what you stand for, and what you won't tolerate. They aren't walls to keep people out. They're filters that keep your life clean. And, ironically, it's those lines that make a woman feel safe and drawn to you at the same time. Because boundaries aren't rejection, they're leadership. When you hold your ground, you create tension. Not the kind that pushes her away, but the kind that makes her respect you more deeply. Every time you calmly enforce a boundary, you're telling her, "My peace comes first." And that message triggers something primal. It shows her that you can lead, that you can be trusted, that you don't lose yourself just to keep her close. Most men fear that saying no will make them lose a woman's interest. But the opposite is true. When you're too available, too accommodating, she feels no polarity. You've erased the space where attraction lives. Desire needs distance, emotional, physical, and psychological. It needs to feel your presence but also your independence. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Epictetus said freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. Boundaries are the modern expression of that freedom. You stop trying to control how she feels about you, and you start controlling how you show up. That's the mindset shift that changes everything. Here's what it looks like in practice. You don't chase validation through constant texting. You don't let disrespect slide because you're afraid to be alone. You don't rearrange your entire schedule to fit hers. Instead, you calmly communicate your limits, and then you live by them. You teach her through your actions that your time, energy, and emotions have value. And a woman who respects herself will always be drawn to a man who respects his own boundaries. When she sees that you're not afraid of losing her, she feels something she can't quite explain, a mix of safety challenge and admiration. That's the spark. Because in her mind, she's met a man who's complete on his own yet strong enough to share himself selectively. That's irresistible. The most powerful men aren't the ones who try to hold on tight. They're the ones who can walk away with peace. That's not coldness, it's clarity. The same clarity that keeps her respect alive long after the conversation ends. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." When your ambition is peace, when your goal is mastery of self, you become rare. And rarity is what drives desire. Now, if you want to learn how to build those boundaries in every part of your life, relationships, career, mindset, join the membership community. Inside, you'll get exclusive lessons on emotional control, masculine energy, and stoic confidence, the habits that make you steady, respected, and quietly magnetic. Take this reminder with you today. Desire doesn't grow in comfort. It grows in respect. And respect starts with boundaries. Number 5. She reacts to your energy. Every man has felt it, the unspoken shift in the air, when a woman mirrors your mood without a word being said. You walk into a room, relaxed, grounded, and suddenly she's softer, warmer, more open. But if you're tense, distracted, or anxious, she closes off without even realizing why. That's not coincidence, it's instinct. Women don't respond to what you say nearly as much as they respond to what you radiate. Energy isn't something mystical. It's emotional tone. It's your body language, your breathing, your presence. When you're calm, you create gravity. When you're chaotic, you create resistance. And here's the truth, she's always reading it. Long before you speak, she's feeling you. Let me show you what that looks like in real life. Tom, 57, runs a small contracting business in Arizona. After his divorce, he started dating again, but his interactions always felt forced. He'd try to be charming, crack jokes, keep the conversation light. Most women were polite, but distant. One night, his friend convinced him to slow down literally. "Stop trying to win her," his friend said, "just be there." So, on his next date with Amanda, 55, a high school teacher, he did exactly that. He listened. He didn't rush to fill silences. He didn't overshare to prove his worth. He just enjoyed the moment, his shoulders relaxed, his tone even. By the end of dinner, something had changed. Amanda was leaning in, asking questions, laughing easily. Tom hadn't said anything special. His energy had shifted, and her body followed. That's the power of emotional leadership. You set the tone. She follows the rhythm. A woman's nervous system syncs with yours faster than logic can catch up. When you're calm, her guard lowers. When you're uncertain, she feels unsafe. The irony, most men try to talk their way into connection when the real connection happens in silence. Stoicism explains this beautifully. Seneca once wrote, A man who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. When you carry anxiety or frustration into your interactions, you make her feel what you fear. But when you stay centered, she feels peace, even in your quiet. That peace becomes magnetic. It tells her, this man doesn't chase, he attracts. Energy also defines respect. If your vibe says desperation, talking too fast, seeking validation, reacting to every signal, she reads that as instability. But if your vibe says direction, steady eye contact, slow speech, relaxed posture, she feels trust. And from trust, desire grows. Tom told me later, when I stopped trying to get her to like me, she couldn't stop showing interest. That's the paradox of masculine energy. The less you force, the more you draw in. Because women are emotional mirrors. They reflect your inner state. So if you want her to relax, you relax first. If you want her to engage, you become present. Don't perform. Don't chase. Just lead emotionally quietly. Your energy is the room before you speak, the silence between sentences, the calm that makes her curious instead of cautious. That's what keeps her thinking about you long after you've gone. Now make this real. Go to the comments and type, "I control my energy." Because when you master that, you never have to chase connection again. It comes to you. And don't go anywhere, because next we'll talk about the shift from energy to leadership, the moment when your calm doesn't just attract her, it guides her. Stay tuned. Number 6. She trusts your leadership. A woman may be attracted to your confidence, but she falls for your leadership. It's not about dominance or control, it's about direction. When a woman respects you, she begins to relax into your guidance, not because you demand it, but because your actions make her feel secure, following your lead. Leadership is the most natural expression of masculine calm, and it's what separates a man she flirts with from the man she trusts. Here's something most men misunderstand. Leadership isn't about always being right. It's about being responsible. You take ownership of decisions, you stay composed when plans shift, and you make her feel that you're not shaken by uncertainty. That steadiness gives her freedom to be soft. She doesn't have to steer the moment you've already done that. Think about how rare that is today. Many men confuse equality with passivity. They think letting her decide everything shows respect. But indecision isn't respect, it's avoidance. A woman doesn't want a dictator, but she also doesn't want a man who's afraid to lead. When you take initiative, calmly choosing where to go, how to handle conflict, or simply making the next move, you create the structure her emotions can rest in. The Stoics had a word for this: prohairesis, the power of choice rooted in reason. Epictetus said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." Leadership begins there. You don't need to control her or the world around you. You only need to control your direction within it. That direction becomes magnetic because it signals strength. When a woman sees that your choices come from clarity, not impulse, she begins to trust your leadership instinctively. She feels that your calm isn't passive, it's purposeful. You know where you're going, and that makes her feel safe joining your path. And here's the paradox: the more she trusts your leadership, the more freedom she feels to express herself. Real leadership doesn't take her power, it gives her peace. You can see this dynamic in small things. The way you order food without hesitation, handle unexpected changes without frustration, or guide a difficult conversation without raising your voice. These moments seem small, but they send a powerful message: I can handle life. And a man who can handle life earns a woman's trust. Leadership also shows in how you handle emotions, both hers and your own. You don't absorb her frustration, you ground it. You don't match her chaos, you stabilize it. When she spirals, you don't argue. You listen, pause, and respond with calm logic. That's Stoic composure in action. It's not about winning, it's about guiding energy back to balance. And understand this: leadership isn't an act you turn on when she's watching. It's a way of being. You live with order, direction, and consistency on your own. When she sees that she doesn't just admire you, she begins to trust you with her emotional world. That's when desire deepens beyond attraction. It becomes devotion. So remember, she doesn't follow you because you're loud or commanding. She follows because your peace leads her somewhere better. That's real masculine power, not force but direction. Now lock this lesson in. Type in the comments, "I lead with calm," because that's what women crave most. Not promises, not perfection, but the steady leadership of a man who never loses himself. And stay close, because what comes next will reveal how her trust evolves into the ultimate test, the moments when she challenges your strength just to feel your stability. You'll want to hear this. Number 7. She tests your strength. Every man who's ever been close to a woman knows this moment, the sudden shift. One day she's warm, affectionate, easy to talk to. The next day she seems distant, questioning, even irritated by things that never bothered her before. You start wondering, what did I do wrong? But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. She's just testing you. And she's not doing it to hurt you, she's doing it to confirm something, your strength. Let's be clear. These tests aren't about power games. They're about safety and respect. A woman tests not because she's cruel, but because she wants to know if your calm, your composure, and your leadership are real, or if they fall apart under pressure. The test is never about the surface argument. It's about what your reaction reveals. Here's how it plays out in real life. Mark, 56, from Denver, started dating Olivia, 54, a marketing executive. Their chemistry was instant. They laughed easily, shared the same humor, and things flowed. But a few weeks in, she began to challenge him. She'd cancel plans last minute or make teasing comments to see how he'd respond. Mark's first instinct was to get defensive, to show her he cared by reacting emotionally. But he stopped himself. Instead of chasing her or matching her attitude, he stayed calm. The next time she pulled back, he said, "That's fine, I've got things to do," and went on with his evening. A few days later, she reached out again, this time warmer, more curious. Why? Because she felt his strength. Mark hadn't tried to control her, argue, or please. He'd shown emotional stability. And that's what she was testing for. Tests aren't a punishment, they're part of attraction. A woman's subconscious constantly asks, can this man stay grounded when things get hard? Can I trust him when emotions rise? If the answer is yes, her respect and her desire grow deeper. But if you crumble, overreact, or beg for reassurance, something inside her shuts off. Respect dies quietly, and once it's gone, attraction never lasts. Stoic philosophy captures this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Her tests aren't blocks, they're chances to show strength through stillness. When she challenges, you don't see it as an attack. See it as an opportunity to reinforce your frame. Stay kind but unmoved, firm but not cold. That's masculine power. Women test because they want to feel that you're real. They want to know that the calm energy you show at dinner is the same when she's emotional or upset. If your peace depends on her behavior, it's not peace, it's performance. Real composure stands on its own. Mark told me later, "When I stopped trying to pass her test and just focused on staying centered, everything shifted." That's the secret. You don't pass her test by winning the argument, you pass it by not needing to. So next time she challenges you, remember this: she's not pushing you away, she's searching for your strength. Don't take it personally. Don't flinch. Hold your ground with quiet confidence. That calm, that restraint, that's what makes her crave you on a deeper level. Now make it real. Go to the comments and write, "I stay strong." Because every time you choose steadiness over reaction, you prove what words never could. And stay tuned, because what's next reveals the quiet moment when all her tests fade and her focus shifts entirely toward you. That's when respect transforms into something far more powerful. Number 8. Your silence speaks desire. Here's the paradox: the less you talk, the more she feels. A woman might be drawn to your words, but she's moved by your silence. Because silence, real, grounded, intentional silence, creates space. And in that space, tension builds. Most men fill it with chatter, over-explaining themselves, or seeking validation. But a Stoic man understands that silence isn't emptiness, it's presence. Women feel your presence long before they hear your voice. They notice how you occupy space, how you breathe, how you hold eye contact. When your silence is calm and assured, it doesn't come off as disinterest, it comes off as power. It says, I don't need to prove myself. I don't need to chase approval. And that quiet confidence pulls her in stronger than any clever line ever could. In today's world where everyone talks too much and listens too little, silence stands out. It makes people pay attention. A woman used to noise suddenly feels your stillness, and something in her shifts. She starts to lean in. She starts to wonder what you're thinking. Your silence turns into the mystery that fuels her desire. But this kind of silence isn't about ignoring her, it's about emotional control. Stoic men practice restraint not because they're detached, but because they know the power of waiting. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." That's exactly how silence works. It shows calm strength. You're not rushing to fill the air because you're comfortable in it. And that composure tells her she can trust your energy. When you speak, your words carry weight because they aren't constant. They land with precision, not desperation. Silence gives your words authority. Every pause becomes a sign of discipline. Every quiet moment becomes an unspoken invitation. You're showing, not saying, that you can handle tension. And that tension, the kind that hums beneath the surface, is the birthplace of attraction. Think about it this way: silence is a mirror. It reflects her back to herself. In your quiet, she becomes aware of her own emotions, her curiosity, her nervousness, her attraction. The less you try to push, the more she starts to feel pulled. You're not chasing her. You're giving her room to chase her own thoughts about you. That's subtle dominance, the kind that doesn't need control to create connection. Stoic silence isn't cold, it's deliberate. It's the balance between saying enough and saying nothing at all. It's the pause that allows emotion to breathe. Most men rush to fix tension, but tension is what makes desire possible. When you're quiet, you let her experience the electricity between you without forcing it. You let her feel you, not just hear you. And make no mistake, she feels it. The calm, the restraint, the quiet confidence. It's the kind of energy that whispers, "I want you, but I don't need you." That's the tone of real desire. So next time you find yourself talking to fill silence, stop. Let the moment breathe. Hold her gaze. Let your stillness do the work. You'll be amazed how loud silence can be when it's backed by strength. Now, anchor this mindset. Type in the comments, "I speak through silence," because a man who controls his words controls the energy in every room he enters. And don't move yet, because next we'll uncover what happens when that silence turns magnetic, when your very presence makes her surrender her guard. Stay here. Number 9. She submits to your presence. When a woman truly respects you, your calm, your direction, your consistency, something subtle begins to happen. She starts to let go of her guard. She softens not because she's weak, but because she finally feels safe enough to stop leading. This is what real submission looks like. Not control, not domination, but surrender to presence. When your energy is steady, your silence strong, and your boundaries clear, she stops fighting for power and starts relaxing into your leadership. You can't demand that from her. You earn it through who you are. And when it happens, it's powerful. Her tone changes, her movements slow, her eyes linger longer. It's not just attraction, it's trust, mixed with admiration. She's drawn to the stability she senses in you. Take Ethan, 58, a retired Marine living in Texas. After 2 failed marriages, he told himself he was done trying to figure women out. When he met Jenna, 55, a divorce lawyer, he did something different. He stopped performing. He no longer tried to impress or out-talk her. He just listened, carried himself with quiet authority, and kept his composure no matter what came up. At first, Jenna tested him. She teased him, challenged his opinions, tried to see if he'd break like the others. But Ethan stayed calm, grounded, unbothered. Over time, her tone shifted. The sharp edges in her words softened. She started asking for his opinion more often. She'd reach for his hand in public without thinking. She began to move with him, not against him. That's the shift. A woman stops trying to compete when she trusts your presence. What Ethan learned is something every Stoic man eventually understands. Leadership doesn't require noise. It's felt. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." When you live that truth, your presence speaks for you. You don't convince her, you create an energy she naturally responds to. Your stillness tells her everything she needs to know, that she's safe, that you're in control, that she can finally rest. Now let's be clear. Submission, in this sense, isn't about obedience. It's about balance. Feminine energy wants to flow. Masculine energy provides the structure that lets it move freely. When she feels that from you, when she knows she won't have to carry the emotional load, she lets go. Her mind quiets. Her defenses lower. She becomes softer, more open, more feminine. That's what real polarity feels like. But here's where most men fail. They try to force that softness. They demand respect, demand trust, demand affection. And that's exactly what kills it. You don't force surrender, you inspire it. You do it by showing her through your actions that nothing shakes your peace. Ethan said it best. When I stopped chasing her approval, she started chasing my presence. That's the paradox of masculine energy. The more you let go of control, the more influence you gain. She submits not to your demands, but to your steadiness. So, if you notice a woman becoming calmer around you, smiling more, opening up without you asking, that's not coincidence. That's the power of your presence. It's not about dominance, it's about direction. Now make this real. Drop a comment that says, "I lead with presence." Because when your energy is strong, she doesn't just respect you, she relaxes into you. And stay close, because what comes next is the final truth. The moment when control doesn't just earn respect or trust, but transforms it into pure desire. Number 10. Control turns respect into desire. There's a point in every connection where something shifts. A woman no longer just respects you. She starts to want you. Not because of what you say or do, but because of what you withhold. That shift happens the moment you show control, not control over her, but control over yourself. The calm restraint that defines Stoic masculinity isn't cold, it's magnetic. It's what transforms admiration into desire. Let's be honest. Most men lose that edge because they can't handle tension. The second things get emotionally charged, they fold, they over-explain, chase, or overcompensate. But here's the truth. Women crave men who can handle emotional pressure without breaking. The moment you can stay composed in chaos, you stop being just another man in her life. You become a man she can't stop thinking about. Control doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means your emotions serve you, not the other way around. You can feel everything: passion, attraction, frustration. But you don't act from impulse. You act from choice. That's power. That's what Stoics understood centuries ago. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is the foundation of attraction, because when you're free from needing approval, attention, or outcome, you become the one person she can't control. And that's exactly what draws her closer. Control creates mystery. Mystery creates desire. When you don't reveal everything, when you're selective with your attention, measured with your words and calm in your actions, you give her space to wonder. Wonder is the oxygen of attraction. Every pause, every moment, you don't rush to fill. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you're feeding that energy. But here's what separates real control from manipulation intent. You're not playing games or withholding affection to create anxiety. You're simply living with purpose. You know your time, your peace, and your emotions have value. And when you value them, she does too. This is where polarity becomes undeniable. A woman doesn't surrender to chaos, she surrenders to certainty. Your control tells her that no matter what happens, you'll remain the same steady, grounded man she first admired. It's that steadiness that turns respect into desire. She starts to crave your presence because it makes her feel safe and alive at the same time. Think about it this way: desire thrives in contrast. She's emotional, you're calm. She's spontaneous, you're grounded. She expresses you, observe. It's that difference that builds the spark. Control is what maintains that polarity. Without it, things blur, roles reverse, energy collapses, and attraction fades. When you master control, even the smallest gestures become powerful. The way you hold eye contact without flinching, the way you touch her without rushing, the way you walk away when something crosses your boundary, not in anger but in peace. Every action says, I choose this moment. It doesn't control me. That's what makes her melt. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength isn't loud. It doesn't shout or demand attention. It's quiet. It's the kind that makes her lean in without knowing why. Because control, when it's calm and unforced, feels like gravity. So remember, this desire isn't born from chaos, it's born from composure. When you master yourself, she doesn't just see you as strong, she feels it. And that feeling, the safety, the tension, the quiet confidence, is what turns admiration into longing. Control doesn't push her away. It makes her chase the calm she can't find anywhere else. That's the ultimate paradox of masculine energy. The man who needs nothing becomes the man every woman desires. What you've just learned isn't about tricks, lines, or games. It's about mastery, the quiet kind that makes women respect you first and desire you later. You now understand the truth. Attraction isn't created by chasing, convincing, or performing. It's built through calm control, consistency, and the unshakable energy of a man who leads himself. When you live this way, you stop wondering what women want. You become what they respond to: strength without arrogance, confidence without noise, and discipline without distance. That's the essence of Stoic masculinity. It's not about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself so completely that everything around you naturally aligns. If you're ready to take these ideas further, to turn philosophy into practice, join the membership community. Inside, you'll get exclusive lessons on emotional control, masculine energy, and daily Stoic habits designed to help you live and lead with quiet power. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Every week we dive deeper into the mindset and discipline that help men rise above chaos and become unshakable in life and relationships. Thank you for watching, for showing up, and for choosing to grow. Stay calm, stay grounded, and I'll see you tomorrow.